I don't know what that was. It's 9 o'clock though. It is 9 o'clock.
It happens as they get older, you know, you don't want to admit it, but it does.
Oh, hey, I was wondering who was in there and you had the bell just go off for the meeting.
Well, no, that's take a pill. That's what that means.
Oh.
Without it, I forget. Usually I wait till the night before to pack, but I'm just putting things in the suitcase as I go. Saturday.
Where are you going?
Well, my son and his family are living on a sailboat for a couple of years. So I'm going to join.
Okay.
Along with my others.
All right, so my treasurer's report is here and I'm going to just read it and deal with questions if there are any.
But hey,
You might as well.
might as well. When the kids
I
say,
think that's
Mom, do
probably
you want
true,
to? I
yeah.
say yes.
It says 9 and like 1 after 9.
Long time. Morning, everybody.
Morning, everybody. Am I on?
We don't have another chair.
Okay, call to order, please, folks. Let's have a moment of silence, please. Before we have a call for quorum, Angie wants to swear me in quickly so she can get on with her day. So y'all bear with us just a moment. Now I'm legit.
Oh, of course, of course. Pen. Do I need a title or just a name? Okay.
Jean, would you call the quorum?
I'm counting us up now. I need to account for one more person. I think we're good to go.
Okay. Adoption of the agenda. We've got several changes to the agenda that I published. The first one is that Grace Nichols has an additional report about the cottages meeting. Betty Douglas is asked to be moved to last in line on the agenda because she's got a conflict. All in favor of the adoption of the agenda as amended? Is there a second? Adopted. Okay. Moving on. Approval of the April 2023 minutes. Are there any changes or additions to the minutes as emailed? Hearing none, the minutes stand approved. Approval of May 2023 minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as emailed? Hearing none, minutes are approved. And Dottie Schumann has been so wonderful to volunteer as vice chair. And the nominating committee was, of course, overthrilled to have this. But we need to do it formally. So do I have a motion to elect Dottie Schumann as vice chair of Landcare? Second. Discussion? There's no discussion, I'm sure. All right, Dottie, thank you so much. You are elected. Yay. I'm sorry. Actually, but actually backing up, it came from committee nominating, so it doesn't need a second either. But I thought, yes, we vote. All in favor? Yeah.
Keep us honest.
Okay, now that is for those of you who have to scoot out. Thank you so much for coming and giving us our quorum so we can get some business done. Okay, treasurer's report.
Okay, am I on?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. We have a meeting set for today after this meeting with town staff to understand one more time the new system from July 1st for the new fiscal year and other related issues that may have arisen. Jean Norris, Landcare Secretary Treasurer, has been accumulating financial records over the past 2 fiscal years in a giant spreadsheet, trying to understand where money came in and what it went out for. So I'm allocating things out to the projects, which was the main point of our bookkeeping exercise. Rachel Eddings, the town financial officer, has been revising the format of financial reports for Landcare to make them easier to understand, including closing out 2 of the little sub-accounts that we've worked with historically. Until this point, we've had to spend down or forfeit the town contribution to Landcare because it was part of the town budget. Going forward, Landcare funds will all reside in what was originally set up as a donations account with 1 line for incoming funds and 1 line for outgoing expenses, which is the thing that I settled on in my spreadsheet just because I needed to keep from going nuts. Okay, yeah. Bookkeeping to track the flow of funds to and from Landcare projects will be a committee responsibility. All right, total funds held for Landcare as of May 31st, 2023 were $18,708.83. And as you probably already realize, almost all of that money is tied to the Flat Creek Crossing project. That amount will be augmented in June by income of $200 from vendor fees from the native plant sale, offset by expenses of $240.68 and $96.45, for a net expense of $137.13, which is utterly amazing. And if all of the vendors had showed up, they would actually have made a little bit of profit. Okay. There was also income of $311 from sale of Williamson cards and prints. Other expenses included $300 for color copies for the Landcare table for the Flat Creek Crossing fundraising brochure. Let's see, and that's actually a pretty reasonable price for how nice this brochure is. Let's see, $256 total for the Landcare post office box rent, stamps, return address labels, and key tags. $480, I'm sorry, for Landcare website modification for Flat Creek Crossing. And that was 8 hours at $60 an hour. And again, I think that was very reasonable. I thought he had spent more time on it than that. And if you haven't been to montreatlandcare.org and looked at how pretty that is now, please go there. All right, and $50 for a deposit for a food vendor at the July 5th kickoff fundraiser event for Flat Creek Crossing. We'll have ongoing expenses of $13.99 a month for website hosting. And once the town budget is approved, probably June 8th, we expect a town contribution to Landcare of $2,500, which will have to cover all Landcare things that arise each year, which includes possible printing and so forth for Firewise, Bearwise, the native plant sale, collaborations with Tree Board around American chestnuts, especially a film showing later this year, Montreat species list, native plant brochures, rain garden brochures, kids and outdoors supplies, etc. We have a lot of projects. We also need to plan on some ongoing website expense for updates and maintenance. The kind of work that will need to be done in the future needs to be done by someone who truly is expert. And we are very fortunate to have Jeff Hudson from Hudson Design Studios, who also works at AP Tech, who has that expertise. He's remarkably efficient. And I've had other website designers tell me that his code is very clean. Okay, I think that does the report. If there are questions, I'll try to answer. Okay, and you can tell me it's TMI in the future and I'll do something shorter if you want.
Thank you, Jean. A lot of hard work went into that, Jean, so thank you. Any comments from the public? Yes, ma'am. 3 minutes limit.
She invited us all to go to her new classroom. Meredith Green and I attended her last session with her outdoor education. Is that the name of the title of you? And they had they had an adaptive sports workshop. And the reason personally I wanted to go was that Adam Combs, a student, a graduate of Montreat College, was there because he wanted to inform not only the class, but the college in the programs that he's bringing to with a partner, and I can't remember his name, but Adam is actually was living in Boston in Waypoint. And what he showed and what he gave us was those with disabilities can have an adventure outdoors. So these are kayaks or boats or ski equipment that people who are disabled can have the opportunity to be outdoors. And he is forming that program at 04. Waypoint Adventure, it was Boston founded, and Black Mountain Expectations program is going to start. And there is a wilderness education adventure. The theme is equity and accessibility in the outdoors. Adventure belongs to me too. And that's where he's an advocate for those who have disabilities and person first mentality, know the story, learn to know limitation, and adventure is what we get out of the activity. And that's their mission. And he was here talking with Patty Powell and myself. We've had a lot of different connections regarding the accessible trail. And Adam is a great supporter of that. And he's going to help us if we go on to any phases where we might need any type of equipment to get those who are in wheelchairs to get across the creek or have a floating
Pontoon boat.
Yeah. Well, not maybe even in Lake Susan, but Dottie has done a remarkable job in her 35 years teaching kids. And then here's someone comes right back and see he is. And thank you for that invitation. And I encourage us to have another opportunity to go to her new office is now at the Oaks. Thank you, Dottie Schumann.
Thank you, Grace.
Actually, thank you, Adam Combs. He was the one, but his office is down at the Collective if you'd like to pop your head in there at some point in time. But they're starting up Waypoint Adventures in North Carolina.
Down at where? Where?
The Collective
Where's that?
in Black Mountain, near the Pennzoil, kind of diagonal, right across from Louise's. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Y'all forget I'm from all.
Not from around here.
Not from all. All right, entity report. Is any other public thing? George? Nothing? Okay. Okay. Entity reports. Does anyone from Town of Montreat have a report? Okay. MRA, any report? It's summer. Okay. Montreat College. It's summer. Cottages, Beth Fountain. Bryce, aren't you gonna have a meeting?
Okay.
And thank you. Grace? Yes, please. Yes, please.
I guess the meeting you're referring to is the Montreat Cottagers in July 22nd. No, you're talking about your meeting. Yeah,
She's wilderness and open space.
yeah. Oh, I got you.
Try that again. Are we working? So one more time because y'all really are enjoying this. I can tell. But Wilderness and Open Space is a committee of the cottagers, and we have been talking to this group a lot about the Rocky Knob Wilderness and the deed ownership. We are meeting this month with MRA to look at that possibility. I just didn't think we needed to report that because Bill Tucker did report it last month, and we just had to wait a month and a half, 2 months to slow the MRA people down long enough to meet with us and get on their docket. So it's progressing, and if we have anything, we will report it. There will also be for the cottagers meeting in July, there will be an update on all of that.
And as I recall, that is where you got Bill Tucker to get on board with you because
Exactly.
they
Actually,
gave
we got
fantastic report at the Cottagers last summer.
last couple of years, I've kind of updated people on what the Cottagers Wilderness and Open Space Committee has been doing. And from that, people have expressed a lot of interest, and I have gotten it's just a wonderful committee of great people that are truly interested. So anyway, you'll hear again from somebody, probably me in July. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, a sign of a good leader is to delegate, and Arrington Cox asked me to get in touch with Coleman Ledgerton, who is going to be retiring as president of Cottagers. It's been traditional. Well, of course, we had 3 summers or 2 with COVID not having a meeting. But the Cottagers Inc. always have a meeting in July. They used to have them in August, an information meeting, and then in August, a business meeting where they elect officers. But they have combined it into one because generally in August, no one's, around. But it does entail a very close agenda. So there is a very limited participation of outside people. You may recall if you've attended that the president of the college speaks, the Heritage Center, Ron Vinson, and then of course the mayor and Richard for the conference center. So and that's where the big information, and that's what the majority of that meeting. You have a lot of attention of people knowing and wanting to be knowledgeable about Montreat. So there were 3 summers that we had what we called a Landcare fair. But this is not going to be called a Landcare fair. It's more or less, I've been in touch with Coleman. I've asked her if it's possible for them, as they've done in the past, when they've set up the Upper Anderson, to have the same number of tables as we did last year. And Jim, you were there with us with your beautiful nature cards, and we sold paintings and did a great job with getting the fundraising kicked off. I'm here today to say, if you as the conference center, and I know that Tanner was there with the table, but I am going to communicate to Coleman the number of tables needed for any of the entities on Landcare. You don't have to be there, but if the college wishes to have anything on, just get in touch with me. You can send me an email, and I will have Firewise. I will be in touch with the other people who aren't here, Firewise, and then of course Bearwise, you would want a table. But right now we would have all the tables on the lakeside. with a lot of the environmental land care activities. Obviously, tree board can have a table wherever they would like it. Anything that you wish to have, you need to contact me by preferably email. If you want to have information about Rocky Knob, or the cottagers might have information. But it's a wonderful time to communicate what you're doing as your projects, and just give me an email. Okay, any questions?
Yes. Grace, do these have to be staffed?
I'm sorry, what?
These tables need to be staffed.
Not necessarily. If you have a good sign, it's just like, you can drop by, and anytime you might be sharing. And I remember I was going back and forth with Jim, had Peggy there with selling and I know that, you were over by the refreshment area, I think, with gardening and Montreat. So we had enough staffing, I think, for Eugene too. But if there's anything with the the whatever your the minister, earth ministry, you don't have to man it. If you wish to, if you would give the materials, we'll put up a sign. I will have a sign for all the 8 entities, and put it on the table, and then you bring your stuff. Okay, any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Grace, for putting this together.
Well, thank you for asking me to do it. It's July 22nd, and we wanted the 9:30 to 10 be the early visiting time, and to come and browse the tables. Last year, everybody started coming early anyway, but they were not aware that we would have these tables set up. And some people didn't have money to buy, some of the prints, and nature cards. So at 10 o'clock is a sharp, it's the beginning of the business meeting. So we have 30 minutes to shine.
Another question, Grace?
Yeah.
Is cottagers willing, or have they promised to maybe do an email blast or something to let people know that this will happen? In
Yes,
advance?
and that's what Coleman wanted. In fact, she told, I had met with you all yesterday, and she said it could be sent as an attachment. But if you would tell me as soon as possible, I could just generally say there will be, all entities, conference center, town, whatever. But I know in the past, Ron Nally, when he was there with some of his workmen, with not that they were had to attend, but he had materials, and we were able to set that up. Yeah. So tell me what you want it to be called. If you have a name for something, or if you want us to give a little more detail, we will be having a Flat Creek Crossing table as well.
Montreat Information Fair?
Okay, that's perfect.
I'll bring Fred.
Huh?
I'll bring Fred.
So-
I'll bring Fred for Fairwise.
Okay. You have what?
I'll bring Fred for fair.
Oh,
for
Fred. Oh, Fred, your bear in the yard.
For
Yes.
Fairwise.
I was thinking of some other Fred.
Sophie? How, have you had anything for Earth Ministry? Come, close.
Turn the mics on.
I have nothing to do this month.
Okay. Glad to have you back.
Thank you.
Firewise, Flat Creek Crossing, let's do that.
That's all right. Flat Creek Crossing has been busy, so this is a long report. And if you zone out, you have to come back in at the end. Okay. All right. Town Council approved Landcare's grant application for $50,000 from the North Carolina Environmental Enhancement Grant Program. Applications are reviewed in June and July. Recommendations to the State Attorney General go out in August. Awards are made in the fall. We're hopeful, but it is a very competitive grant. Other grants are being researched and will be pursued. So let's have white light thoughts for our review coming up. The carefully detailed budget submitted in the application proves the trail will cost more than originally envisioned. Our target is now $274,000. Fundraising begins in earnest with a kickoff event on July 5th. Tour the trail site will happen from 5 to 6:30 with tour guides, speakers, Pelican snow cones free to the first 75 visitors, $1.50 thereafter. Research proved it would not be feasible to serve any alcohol. ABC permit and additional insurance coverage would have been necessary. We host rain or shine. One police officer will be present to ensure safe crossing of Assembly Drive from the snow cone truck to the trail. Invitation and information mailer cards will be sent mid-June. 405 mailboxes. Postage will be $77. Advertising posters and brochures will be strategically placed throughout the summer. Announcements and community announcements will be posted regularly. Flat Creek Crossing will have a float in the parade. Thank you to George and Gail Sawyer for their truck. Our young friend Grant will be there in his decorated electric wheelchair cart. Our theme, everyone should be able to get to the creek. Flat Creek Crossing ambassadors will be present at the post office alongside barbecue ticket sales to promote the July 5th event and at Moore Center during the field games. Info specific to summer staff will be distributed so they are informed and can answer questions. Let clubs families know about the project. Work days, the first of many, have been announced for June 8th, 9th, and 10th. You may have seen the town minute notices. We will begin planting the far side of the creek bank to screen maintenance parking area. We will also attack the invasives and clear debris. 9 a.m. to noon each of the 3 days. Contact George or Patty for details. Landcare website now has Flat Creek Crossing updates on the projects tab and on the slider. We hope to post progress on fundraising news and notes regularly. Okay, now here's where you have to tune back in, how you can help. We very much need more people to help with the event on July 5th and on the 4th. On the 4th, we could use help at the display table at the field and at the barbecue pickup and walk up to hand out flyers. And this, I think, is the flyer we're talking about. Okay, on the 5th, we need help with setup, handing out publicity, walking the route, and answering questions, and cleanup. Approximate times for helpers would be 4 to 5:30 for the setup and 5:30 to 7 for the event and a little cleanup. Let us know if you can help or if you have ideas on other folks we can recruit. So do we have summer students? Do we not have summer students? No summer students. Okay. All right. So I will be taking names after. I don't think anyone's volunteering right this minute. This trail is going to be absolutely beautiful, something we can all be proud of and will enjoy for years to come. We are counting on Landcare committee members' support in whatever ways you choose. So if we have any ideas for how we recruit helpers for the day of the pre-event and the event itself, nothing coming up right this minute. Okay, please grab me or email Patty. Grace is also neck deep in this, so she would be someone to contact. And George Sawyer is neck deep in this. He's organizing the work days. And show up for the work days if you can. Yeah, that's tomorrow and the next day and the day after. Yep. And I can't work but an hour in my own garden, so I'm not sure how long I'm going to last with that, but I'll show up. Okay, I think that's the end of the report.
Good, Genius. Brought us all up to date. All right. Firewise. Meredith Green could not be here, so I just wanted to read quickly her report. On May 25th, 65 participants broke into 4 smaller groups and came to Montreat to see how we maintain Firewise community status in a heavily forested area. Nancy Midget spoke to 4 groups along with West Skato, Wildlife Mitigation Ranger with the North Carolina Forest Service. Many of the Fire Learning Network participants had not been to Montreat before and were wowed by the natural beauty that we all enjoy. Rusty and Bailey Douglas's home was chosen by Nancy as an excellent example for having ideal properties to fit a Firewise assessment. With its stone foundation, cement board siding, and low vegetation growing away from the house, it checks off a lot of positives on the home assessment forms we use. The Firewise Committee has completed 45 home assessments over the past 3.5 years. Montreat homeowners have been very receptive and curious as to how their homes would fare based on questions created by the North Carolina Forest Service. While Montreat cannot be a textbook example of a perfect Firewise community due to the dense forest area we live in, we can share suggestions that could make homes safer by making some minor changes. She adds that it was a great event and we were proud that this group was included in the program for this year. Pat. Hemlock restoration. Y'all gonna get tired of hearing about this. From Abigail Leahy. The only news I have to report is that there's new growth on the hemlock trees. Right. MR Wilderness, Jason had to go. His report is, I am training rangers this week and we are gearing up for the summer. We're taking a trail consulting firm called Equinox out of Asheville. We're still looking for grants to purchase some trail counters as part of the trail consulting project. Pre-board. Jason, do you have anything? Brad, do you have anything?
I'll speak to
Thank you.
Sorry.
Hey, we'll go and start this tomorrow.
Okay, if I have something that could involve voting on it, but do you have a quorum at this moment?
Nope.
No, so we can't vote on anything.
I wish I had known. See, I could have done this and
Well,
early. Do we have that? Do we have eight? What happened?
We have our 7+ tiebreaker, so I think we actually still do that for
Nah,
okay,
I thought they all left. Okay.
them. Nope, just 2.
Okay, go ahead. Jeff.
okay. Well, on that topic, this is not what I plan to say, but on that topic, I know getting a quorum is a challenge. Tree board has the same challenge. And at the moment, the tree board is down 1 member. So I'm saying for all of you to hear that if you know of anyone or you yourself have an interest in trees and or know that person might be willing to serve on the board, have them contact me, please. Okay. So during the course of the last month, I talked with Hannah Leeper, who's the person with the Chestnut Foundation that we would be working with on public information and stuff like that. And she's looking forward to working with us and planning this event that we're envisioning at this point for in the fall, showing the Chestnut Foundation video and using that event also to start organizing around the question of how does Montreat respond to the developments with the chestnuts. And I can get into that in a little bit if need be. I also made attempts to engage with people around Montreat and looking for the support for planning this movie event, and so far have not really identified anyone who's really prepared to get actively involved in that effort. So that's the status of things. So the idea is to show this film at that time to also start taking initial steps to start organizing community around welcoming in blight resistant chestnut trees into our valley, because that's going to be happening. And the trees will be available probably within the year. I have been thinking of it in terms of the different organizations, and most of which are represented on this committee. There's MRA, there's Montreat Presbyterian, there's the Montreat College, and there's Landcare. Cottagers Organization, I did talk with the woman from Cottagers. Yeah, Coleman. And they're involved in planning for their annual meeting, and there's really not any energy to expand beyond what they've already planned. So at best, I think we might be able to use their mailing lists in some form or other to announce to Montreaters who are not necessarily resident, to announce that that this event when the time comes. So as you see, my focus really has been on this one particular event, and initially there's a lot of energy around it. I found it kind of, I'm not sure exactly how to say it, but I talked to people and people seem to be interested, but there's not an energy for participation, and in order to be successful as the sort of thing that we were talking with the Chestnut Foundation people about, we need to have some energy. So that kind of brings me back to the thing that I was saying that I'd like to do. I'd like this Landcare committee to say, yes, we think it's a good idea. Yes, we want to participate, and to get on board and helping planning how that would happen. So that's, I don't know if I'm allowed to make a motion, but that's what it is.
You may certainly make a motion.
Okay. Well, my motion then would be the Landcare.
Put that, and then I'm going to give it Jean read it.
But I can move it. He said what he wants. Or somebody else can. It wouldn't have to be the spouse. Somebody else could. But
I guess the question is, are we moving to have Landcare organize a movie event sometime this fall?
To participate in the planning. I'm trying to get people from other organizations, and if you're representing one of those organizations, I would also like you to think about how you're
participate in the planning of what? The movie showing?
Showing of the movie, having an event for the Montreat community. We want to have as many people from the community at large participating, because see, I don't know, maybe you haven't tracked on this. The good news is that Chestnut Foundation has talked to the federal people, and within the year, there will be beginning available the possibility of having truly blight resistant chestnut trees available to start planting. And there's a huge effort, because we have millions of trees to plant, and thousands of them in this ultimately. So this video talks about the history of things. I haven't seen it myself, but it all culminates in talking about how to move forward. I think the Chestnut Foundation will be there at the event to talk with us about that, and they're tremendously excited about this. This is the culmination of 40 years of effort on their part to bring back the chestnuts.
So again, the motion is to set up an event that includes the movie and the Chestnut Foundation. Are you also asking the motion to include the planting of trees, which seems like it's a little early for?
So let me back up and say it again. I'm asking the board to endorse that this event is happening, saying, yes, you will participate. And that would ultimately involve having somebody, one or more persons from this committee to participate in the planning. This is all in the very beginning. And so far, people have said, yes, it's a good idea. And people have not yet said, yes, we'll help. But we need to have people from the various different organizations to do that. Landcare, I think, is key.
Okay, let me try to restate that as a motion. I think I can get it. We move that Landcare will participate in planning a community-wide event showing the film involving the American Chestnut Foundation. Yeah. And beginning community planning for reintroducing chestnuts. And I don't know how far we get with that planning because we don't know whether the trees are ready, but now we could have discussion. Let me add a point of discussion right away.
I need to correct that a little bit. I'm not asking the committee to begin the planning for the planting. The event will try to organize an independent or semi-independent organization in the town that will do that. Montreat needs to, as I see it, it's going to be a big task, and it needs to have people that are focused on that. So I think what we'll end up with then is a Montreat committee for chestnuts. But all
right.
I'm not asking for the committee at this moment to say we'll plan it.
Okay, I can edit that. The point of discussion that I would like to add is that, oh, well,
And then.
that was the motion.
To
Okay,
plan the event.
Is there a second to this motion?
thank you.
Second, is there any discussion? Oh, Mike.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, Mike.
Thanks. So I just wanted to make clear that I heard correctly because Jean, I think part of your discussion and you had indicated that no, it's not for the planning of the community support of planting the trees, but do I understand your motion then is that the Landcare Committee would endorse the autumn showing of the video and support in the planning of the video community event? I just wanted to clarify that is the motion.
Beautiful.
Is that the motion?
That is the motion with one addition, that this event will also, we hope, be a kickoff for forming a community-wide committee devoted to reintroducing the chestnuts. So it's an organizing event as well, but it's not ready for the planting yet because the trees aren't ready yet.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor with additions. Do I hear a second to that motion?
And I'm sorry, I know that I'm new to this committee, but is the formation of community support or moving forward with the planting, is that under the purview of the Landcare Committee or would that be under the purview of the tree board? I think we might be mixing some things up.
And that was the discussion point that I wanted to address. As of this point in history, tree board is entirely a town committee and doesn't really have license to work across organizations in the way that Landcare does. Landcare was specifically formed to do that. So that's one reason for needing to come to Landcare for this. That may change in the future for tree board, but it hasn't changed yet. Is that okay, Brad?
Yeah, that's all right. I will inject it. I don't think it changes the motion. We don't have a date yet. We need people who'll say they want to get involved before we can really plan a date. The best thinking I have in talking with a couple of people is that early fall might be the best time to do that. We're talking maybe late September, early October.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor and there's a second. Are we ready to vote? We've had discussion
Sorry, with the addendum or without the addendum?
with the addendum.
I just think it's a little early to say that we're going to organize. I mean, because we don't even know that that's up to the tree board, not I mean, not the tree board, but the Chestnut Foundation. They're the ones that will then reach out to communities, I believe, and get them set up to organize it. I don't think that's our role personally. I think that's maybe what you were saying as well. So I'm fine with the motion without the agenda.
Without the agenda.
Right, because we're showing support just by inviting them in. And our hope is very much that people will get excited and want to be on board, but we can't propose that people are going to be on board until we actually have the Chestnut Foundation clarify what that looks like. Like, we can't go planting trees on private land, MRA land.
But this is not what I'm asking for at this time. All I'm asking is for the Landcare Committee to say, yes, we want to be involved in planning for this video event.
Yes.
Landcare, the foundation has agreed to do it. They're asking us to do it. They need us to do that. I've talked to Hannah Leeper, who is waiting to hear from us, but I haven't had anything to say to her because nobody has bought into it yet.
You want to restate the motion?
Move that Landcare will participate in planning a community-wide event showing the American Chestnut Foundation film in early fall, late September or October.
Period. Yeah, if we can end it at that, that feels
Okay.
simple and clean and easier to vote on than all the complexities that have been discussed.
You're all right with that, Brad?
But what's the word that we will participate or we will plan?
Participate.
Participate in the planning. Don't we want to be the planning organization? I'm just asking.
I would like
This,
to.
this is
even-
a tree board of this is a tree board event, but tree
So
board
you'll be the
but tree board is asking Landcare to join in.
I think what Tree Board is asking is that we endorse this event. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Then that's our motion. That Landcare endorse the event of,
A community-wide event for showing the American Chestnut Foundation film in early fall, late September.
Landcare endorses. Is there a second to that motion?
Second that.
No, is there any more discussion? Call the question. Call the question. Is there, okay, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Okey-doke. All right, community wildlife habitat. Bill Seaman has given a very detailed report, which I'm gonna just hit the high points on this, and the rest of his reports you may find in the minutes. He's organized a location information of current Montreat certified yards to enable the team members and friends to do a windshield survey, which means a drive-by survey of the neighborhoods to see who's put out wildlife habitat signs, so that he can move forward with getting the rest of the signs up and making this more of a neighborhood endeavor. He's going to have a possible cottagers display at the cottagers meetings. Okay, and the rest of it is just, he's just done a great job with this. And I'm so glad he's doing this job. And the rest of his report will be in the minutes. Okay? Does that suit everybody? Let's see. Bear wise. Here again, bears have been really, really, really active all over town this month. People have said this, we've had more bears in Montreat this summer and this month than they've had all summer and summer. We've had several reports of mamas and cubs and a red alert from residents on Georgia Terrace when from a seemingly aggressive bear was actually charging at people. Police were called. The street was cordoned off. Everybody was all excited about this aggressive bear. It turns out the aggressive bear had cubs up in the tree on the other side of Georgia Terrace from the trash can, which is on this side of Georgia Terrace. So she was not aggressive. She was a bit aggressive because she was a mama bear doing what mama bears do. And as soon as the police realized that, it became a non-issue. Okay. But this bear, and I won't tell y'all, this bear has been seen all over Monterey to the point where we have named her. Her name is Sophie. She has babies about this big, Beth. They're growing. They're about this big now. But what her modus operandi is she will park them in a tree, and then she'll go off and raid whatever she can find. But nobody knows when Sophie's going to come back and check on those girls. So everybody just needs to put the word out for me, please. Everybody be very careful when you're wandering around town. Just be careful because she's there, but we don't know where. And we don't know where the cubs are either. Okay. Spectrum News. Spectrum News has picked up Tom Widmer's wonderful article in the Monterey Minute about our Bear Wise program, and it was broadcast statewide. So hooray for us. Because of that coverage, I'm sure I had a call from a camp in Hendersonville who was concerned about bears in camp with campers. They've had bears in camp. They wanted information on how to get involved with Bear Wise. MRA has contacted me as well for information and to become a part of our neighborhood systems. I think I'll probably encourage them to form a group of their own and then report to me so that we don't add any more to Mary Jo Clark's Bear Watcher people. So I'm waiting to hear back from MRA as to how to set up an educational program for them. And that's all I've got. Okay. Is there anyone that I have left out? Hey, Betty, you're here. Okay, Betty Douglas, native plant soup. You were hiding back there.
No, I just got here. Yeah, I have had 5 sets of house guests since the last native plant sale, and I have 2 house guests coming in today. So,
okay.
And another meeting this morning. I sent the first report, which really pretty much told the story of how it went. We had really bad weather predicted. It was only sort of bad. It did affect some of the vendors decided not to come, and some of the sales were down. Since then, we've done some follow-up. Beth Frith turns out to be excellent as a part of this because she has such wonderful experience dealing with vendors of this ilk at the farmers market. So she followed up to get their critique of what we had done, because you really have to hear that even if it hurts your feelings, but it didn't hurt our feelings. They like Monterey. They like the way this sale comes off. They like the community aspect of it. And it's one of the rare things that does bring together all of the entities in Monterey, which I think is such a great thing. Everybody gave us really positive feedback, and they all said they did pretty well. Considering that we didn't have as many people come and a couple of the vendors dropped out. The one thing they did say, and this is something that you all will need to consider, is that, and I've got this written down for you, Jean. So I don't know. Okay. I'll send it to you.
Jean appreciates that.
I talk really fast because I taught junior high for 22 years, and those boys, you lose them in a math class if you don't keep it going. So y'all will probably stay with me if I'd slow down. Anyway, they said we're doing it too early, and it had been moved when Gracie asked us to do it. I couldn't do it the date that you all usually do it. But all the vendors have said that their plants don't mature by that 3rd week in April. So the date needs to be moved some. And normally you've done it the last weekend in April. I'm out if you do that, but because that's had something standing on the calendar then. But and it made the 3 of us ask the question in our critique of ourselves. You know, there's been a proliferation of these sales as in the time since we started this sale. So you're going to be going against multiple sales every week. And the question does need to be asked, why are we still doing it? What is the purpose? Do we still want to do it? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of community involvement. Our sense is it's a great thing, you know, so maybe with some changing it a little bit. So that the first thing was we got good feedback. They think we should move it to later. We did it the 3rd weekend of April. I know that the third weekend of May, the weekend after Mother's Day, is when the Black Mountain sale is. We were against a couple of sales at Painters and at the farmer's market the day we did it. But that's one thing that will be fixed. That is, we didn't take over on this until February. So we had to put it together in a 2-month period rather than the way it's set up to do it starting in October. We won't let that happen to us again, because if we let them know early, you do kind of get on people's calendar. So Beth and I have already kind of talked about that. Our inclination, this is the second thing, is to discontinue the formal presentations that are done, because there's a lot of effort that goes into those on the part of the presenters, on the part of MRA, setting up the room and the audio visual stuff in there. But we understand that from an Arbor Day celebration, you've got to have the educational component. But the people that come, we had everyone from Kids in Parks to the Hemlock Foundation to the Chestnut Foundation to Bearwise and all these good entities that you don't see at the other plant sales. That's one of the things that makes this one a little different. The children's component is not there that Montreat College does. So our thought is that maybe we emphasize those and set up more an exhibition style where people could do, as Beth Frith puts it, your elevator speech on your thing. As people gather, you may talk to 8 or 10 people. I went around and had a great conversation with the Hemlock people, and my trees are looking so much better. So I think we can still have an educational component without the formal people stop what you're doing, because they're just having fun being together. That was my experience, at least. Okay, now I'm down to the grandchildren's. I've lost my thing. Hold on. Okay. So our inclination, but you all can tell us, no, we don't want you to do that. But we just feel like it's a lot to ask people to make a presentation to 10 or 15 people.
3 or 4.
It feels it feels a little disrespectful. I mean, the ones I went to had about 10 or 15, but I
really?
didn't go to the last 2.
Yeah, some
So-
of them only had 3 years.
See, that's just not right. Okay. As far as the way we ran it, just so you all know, we divided what it took Jean with help from others. We needed 3 people to do what one person did, and we still think we need 3. We did it where Beth did the vendor notification. That's her strength, and her communication was excellent. Elizabeth Askew took all the publicity. She did the posters and set up the QR code that you could go on to Landcare's website. And she worked with Ann Neal and was great help, because it was work on her to do this. And I think we hope to not put as much on her in a small amount of time as we did this last year. That happened to all of us. But we do think the way to go is less printed materials and more of the QR code available that people can. We did do some little 5x7 cards, because some people don't want to stand in the post office on their phone and try to view the information while the QR code's there. But if they could take a little card home, or if they can go on Montreat Landcare's website and see the QR code, then they can get all the information, and the information can be ongoing as somebody is added at the last minute. So it saves some of that time. We do know it would have been easier if we'd started earlier and planned to do that. Elizabeth Askew has said she doesn't want to take that part on again, but she is willing to take on the organization of the hospitality room, which turned out to be a lot of work that took away from the organization on the field. I realized both of my 2 people, Elizabeth ended up having to do a funeral in West Virginia, and Beth had an event she was responsible for a year ahead of time for Florida State. So I ended up without them there that day, which was nothing they could have controlled. But it'll be not. We need. It's nice to have some extra organizational hands. I have in mind a person that we might talk to about doing this, the publicity arm that Elizabeth is going to hand over. I sent a financial report. I gave a financial report in pencil, done very much old school, to Jean. And Jean, I didn't make a copy of it. So do you have, how much money? You gave it to me when?
I haven't, but I can't give it to you. I haven't.
Well, all I can tell you is we spent less than $200 of your money. So that worked out well. And I do think we saved a good money on the printing, but we could do a little bit better job in a longer, more breathable time. Questions. And the last thing I have is the questions about the future. And you all need to talk about this. Is this sale going to continue to be necessary? It's grown, it's morphed over time. I think it's a fun thing, but you're always going to run the risk of a washout. So And you'll have to ask yourselves what makes it unique. Are those formal presentations still necessary? What could we do better? The one thing that happened as the weather, looked worse than it turned out, we've realized we can mitigate some of that by in our initial publicity to all vendors and exhibitors, let them know it's completely a rain or shine. We would move all the exhibitors inside that bottom room in the Moore Center and set up the vendors so they could be out of the rain with their electronics on the porch, but still keep the people on the field. Tracy will tell you, I drove her kind of crazy. There were so many, there's a lot of moving parts in Montreat. You can't just suddenly say, oh, we're going to move it to this, or we're going to move it somewhere else. That just isn't going to happen. So we think we'll have some ways to mitigate if we have bad weather, but we really can't control that. And you'll have to deal with a higher entity than I on that one. So y'all can add your own questions here. That's all I had.
Question. Excuse me, this frog. So if we move the exhibits, the speakers out of the bottom room, right? Then you have room to put, if it rains, you got a plan B, you could put those vendors in.
You wouldn't take any plants in there. It would just be like the hemlock and the chestnut and Landcare, the things that are mostly not selling things in essence.
They don't need to be.
Right. The plants are still going to be on the field, but we could probably let some of those people, each of them have a kind of a table underneath and stay out of the rain. I'm just saying what we've realized, and that's not set in stone. We just know up front, we'll have a better idea of what can and can't be changed. That's one thing we didn't think we did well.
Then my next question.
Wait can I make a motion that we table this discussion? Because you have great questions and it's going to take more time
That's
than
fine.
at the 10 o'clock.
No, I have one question.
At 10 o'clock. So
What is that?
it must be 10 o'clock.
Fire alarm. Just think about this. Instead of having it on a weekend, why don't we have it during the week or Friday?
That works great for retired people. I do think that the children's component there in school still then, but y'all can talk about that.
Yeah, I really do think you had done a great job of giving us things to think
And
about.
that's not your thought. That's
And
y'all's
we need-
decision.
yeah,
Just
and
tell
we
us
need-
before October what you want us to do.
Yeah, thank you so
Okay.
much.
Are y'all okay if I find the third person, or do y'all want to find that third person?
You found the third person.
Beth and I've said we're willing to do it again if it works out, this at the time works out, but we are looking for this third person. And Elizabeth Askew said she'd still do the hospitality room.
Yeah.
So like I said, it's going to take 4 people to do what one did, but
And they all
That's
have to
just
be
who you're
named
working
Beth or
with.
Elizabeth. right?
Thank you so much.
Do they have to be
Great.
named Beth? Or Elizabeth? Do they have to be named Beth or Elizabeth to be on your team?
Dottie, do you still need your motion to table?
I would like to, make that motion to table this discussion to another.
But don't you think we might be through?
Oh, and a motion to adjourn? First, we need to approve my first motion. Is that what you mean?
I'll second that.
Okay, in discussion on the tabling of this discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, is there any unfinished business?
I have a question about the July meeting. Is that
Well,
part of
let me
it?
get there.
Okay.
I can't wait. Is there any new business? Okay, the next meeting, and I didn't know about this. Among other things I don't know anything about. I didn't know that we don't meet in July until Grace told me. I had no idea we didn't meet in July. So our next meeting is August the 2nd. Right, Grace? Okay, being no further business, meeting is adjourned. Bang.
That's not mine. It was here, actually.